Greetings and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's been a minute. A lot has been happening. The year 2025 has been ending and 2026 has been starting. And I'm so excited to be able to come back here and pick up from where we left. In this video today, I want to talk about something that I learned over the festive period and beginning of the year. And I want to talk about something that I learned. My son does get some professionals that come home and do have some time with him, doing some therapy sessions at home, and sometimes they take him for activities, for outings and all that. And in that, I also tend to observe what they will be doing, how they work with him, so that I can learn one or two things of how to support him on his day-to-day living, on his day-to-day activities. And on this particular video, I want to talk about what I learned, what is called a Coke bottle analogy. With regards to how autistic individuals regulate their emotions. So that will be a Coke bottle analogy in relation to emotional regulation for special needs children or for the autistic brain. I learned that on a typical day, for my son, on a typical day, he is okay, he's well regulated, there is no overstimulation, there is no triggers, he is well regulated and he knows exactly what is happening, there is no sensory overload. It's an ideal setting, environment, routines are in order and all happening as he is expecting. But then slowly, as we have those activities or the anticipation of what is going to happen next, as those things start happening or unfolding, that becomes like one shake at a time. And there is a lot of particles happening in here. And let me make a disclaimer before we go any further. I have titled this video Coke Bottle Analysis, but this is not Coke. And the reason is that when I made a decision to do this video, I already said I'm going to do it. And one of the things that I'm dealing with this year is the 5-second rule, which I learned from one of my favorite podcasters, Mel Robbins, who said, if you want to make sure that you deal with procrastination, apply the 5-second rule, where you say, if you know I want to do this, do it without any excuses. So it's a no excuses kind of year this year. So when I realized that I didn't have Coke, I told myself, if I'm going to create time, because I'm not planning to go shopping anytime soon, which is again something that is on my financial goals, to stick to the budget and to stick to the routine and the to-do list of the week. All right. So I ended up realizing that I don't have a Coke bottle in the house, but I needed to do this video. And this video is the lessons that are in this video have got nothing to do with whether it's Coke or a different brand. So I said, we have Sprite, we're going to go ahead and do the video. So that is the reason why it's still the Coke bottle analysis, but I'm using a different type of drink, which still serves the purpose for the lessons that I want to bring home through this video. So when our individuals on the spectrum, our individuals with autism are stimulated, that's like shaking things up for their brain. There's a lot of shaking happening there. It can be one shake at a time, but happening also frequently. And they end up being overstimulated. So they can come from one extreme of being settled, well-regulated, being in a well-oiled machine, functioning properly, focusing on the activities that they want to focus on in a smooth way. And you're thinking we are making progress here, only to realize that maybe there's just been a lot of shaking that is happening in the brain. There's a lot of things. And in my explanation in one of the previous videos, we explained that one of the reasons why special needs children, especially the autistic one, end up having meltdown is the sensory overload, and also that their brain is working on so many things at the same time. Their brain is attending to so many sensory input. Their ears are paying attention to what is happening in the auditory world. Their eyesight is also paying attention to so many things that they are seeing and trying to make sense of. And then maybe even their sense of smell. There is a lot of things that they are smelling and processing at the same time, and they want to pay attention to what is being said, and maybe they want to pay attention to what they are seeing, and they are also even paying attention to their sensory in terms of feeling what they are feeling, maybe the temperature or whatever that environment, or maybe they are sweating or they're feeling a little bit cold. All that can be happening at the same time. And even for a neurotypical brain, you can end up being confused and losing track of what you are doing. And that's a lot of, again, a lot of shaking going on. So the Coke bottle analogy talks about a lot of shakes that are happening, which is sensory overload, that sensory input that is happening at the same time for the same individual, for the same set of brains to process. And that becomes too difficult to deal with, and that is become too difficult to digest, to make sense of, and then come out with what needs a resolute action. So what then happens is that once you have understood that this is a Coke bottle, right now, after shaking it so many times, maybe my son woke up well regulated, and by maybe he's gonna go for an activity, as it was school holiday, but now they've opened, they're going to school. Maybe we'll wake up, get ready for school, a little bit of shaking happening already, and maybe the driver arrives, pick him up, they will sit in traffic, the expected time they are supposed to get to school is delayed, or the travel time is becoming more, maybe double the time that he is usually expecting to be already getting off the taxi and getting to the classroom. That's a lot of shaking already happening. So you find that maybe by the time he arrives at school, this bottle is almost bursting because there's been shaking that is happening. Now what happens is, what I have been taught by the professionals during this past holiday, is that we need to allow this can. If I am, after all this shaking that I've been doing right now, if I am to open this can right now, I'm going to lose half, if not all, of the contents that are in here. So what I need to do now, for me to get the best out of this can, out of this bottle, out of this can, I need to let it sit. Give it a few or even more minutes. Give it some time to settle from that shaking. Give it some time. What that is required from me as the primary caregiver of this child who has been shaken by these things that have been happening, the sensory input, because that traveling already on its own, they've been seeing, they've been processing information, they've been hearing other vehicles, other road users, they've been seeing a lot of things as they were in motion traveling. So I need to allow some time to settle. I need to give time for this can of bottle, for this set of brains to settle before I even start wanting to know how the trip was. So that is what I've been learning. It also applies even at the end of the day, maybe even throughout the day at school. There's a lot happening at school, a lot of maybe expectations from the daily targets that he would be given, so that he progresses and so that he develops and he benefits from the education system. That can also be some kind of shaking if there is no careful consideration of those breaks that are required in between to allow for calming down and self-regulation to be effective. So what then I need to understand as the caregiver, the primary caregiver, or as the parent of this individual, is even when he comes back from school, I need to understand to allow cooling down time. Not the moment he gets off the taxi or the moment his caregivers are dropping him home, I'm already asking, how was the activity? What did you do? What did you see? Sometimes you just need to allow the person to take some time, allow them to breathe as they get warm. Because even me as an adult, when I come from work, sometimes I just want to get warm, take a bath, and have a few minutes, maybe alone. What more now of this brain that is already known for over processing information, that is already known for overworking, more than maybe the neurotypical brain. It needs to be allowed time to settle. Otherwise, that's when then you will see, if you are going to rush to open this can, you're going to have an outburst of the contents. The information that you are trying to find out, to say, how was school? How were the activities? What happened? What did you learn? What did teacher say? What did your friend say? You're going to end up having outbursts. And it can be a meltdown. You can actually be the trigger of a meltdown if you're not careful. That's what I've recently learned, that you need to allow this Coke bottle, this can, to settle down before you demand information. Sometimes the meltdowns that we witness as parents of children with autism are actually caused by us. And when I was reflecting and looking back from my journey of looking after my son for the past 12 years, I've realized there are actually sometimes when he bursted into meltdowns because I triggered them, thinking that I am actually being a good mother, thinking that I'm being a good primary caregiver, pushing for information, digging information, wanting him to speak to me, wanting him to give me feedback, and sometimes demanding more than what he is capable of giving me, sometimes demanding feedback more detailed than maybe his capacity. My son is verbal, but even in terms of conversation and capacity, you will definitely have to come down to his level for you to be able to get out. And also I've learned I don't have to make so much demands to push him, to push his limits. It's not always about pushing him. Encouragement and pushing are two different things. So even in trying to have a conversation of understanding how the day was at school, I need to do it in a very calm way, in a relaxed manner that allows him to be able to let out the contents of this can without bursting. Letting out the contents of this can so that I can then enjoy the contents as they come out. And I can benefit from the refreshing feel. I can benefit, I can get the best out of the contents. But if then I push it and shake it too much, everything can end up on the floor and I will not get even anything from this. So I need to be very careful as the primary caregiver working with my child. I need to understand that if I shake too much, I can end up making things worse than they were. If our children come back from their activities, or even wake up in the morning and they prefer a calm approach, let's use that. Let's not be on the pushing. Then, because already by just putting those demands, it can shake things up for them, and they can end up being just too overwhelmed to then process information. Let's always allow time for them to process information and to give it to us in the most comfortable way that they are. And this is a lesson that I also even use for my other two kids. My son, who is on the autism spectrum, is the middle one. But these lessons I'm learning also to apply them even for the other two kids who are neurotypical, to realize that they also need some downtime. Sometime when you push to get information, people have a tendency to end up telling you what you want to hear, not maybe the truth that you are looking for. So it's something that I've realized that it's a lesson that can be learned even by people who don't have people with special needs around them, people who are not dealing with people with or children with special needs on a daily basis. It's a lesson that I think it can benefit everyone, that we need to understand that if we push too much for information, people can end up bursting and not being able to give us, and in thinking that we want to help, we can end up actually damaging. We can end up actually making things worse. So in your trying to help, try always to take it easy. Don't shake things up. Take it easy so that you get the best out of the contents that you want to benefit from. Take it easy so that it becomes much easier to process the contents of the Coke bottle. Take it easy. That is my advice today. If there's anything you can take away from this video, take it easy. Don't always shake things up. In fact, take it easy, allow things to cool down, don't rush things, don't rush people, allow people to come and pour themselves out without you pushing them to do so. Most of the time, if you push people to open up, if you push, they end up lying to you. But if they come willingly, they will tell you what exactly is on the ground, and you are then in a better position to help them if you are the right person to help them, or you are then in a better position to refer the right people or services. So don't always shake things up. If you stir things up, the chances of losing the whole thing are very high. So in conclusion about the Coke bottle analogy, I just want to remind you that the purpose why I did this video was to let us sit back and think and imagine a bottle of Coke being gently shaken again and again. Nothing spills at first. From outside, it looks fine. This is what a lot of people, a lot of individuals on the spectrum go through. And sometimes even adults do that as well. And even some people who are neurotypical, who are not on the autism spectrum, they also go through that. They hold it together, being shaken, being tossed back and forth, right, left, center. They hold it together. They follow rules, they mask feelings, meet expectations. Each small stress, each small demand of certain behavior adds one shake on top of another. By the time the school day or work day ends, that bottle is already under intense pressure, ready to burst. Even if no one can see it yet, this can be ready to burst. But when you look at it, you might not even notice. Yes, sometimes you'll see that this top part will be so puffed up, ready to burst, if there can be any trigger to allow that. Why the explosion happens, or what shakes the bottle? Let's talk about what shakes the bottle. Every demands that is happening throughout, it adds a fizz. Every noise, every transition, every social effort that is demanded or expected, every sensory overload, being corrected, trying not to cry, trying not to react. For a child on the autism spectrum, this might be just asking them to sit still. This might be just asking them to manage friendship or social interactions, coping with learning demands. For adults, it might be work stress, mental load, emotional labor. And none of these are not bad on their own, but they are tiny pressures being added into a container. They are adding up. The pressure is building up, one fizz after another. And when they are added up, there is no release button. There is no window. There is no opening. It's just being added. And remember, the container itself is not being expanded. It's remaining the same size, but the contents are being added. The contents keep getting added into here, but the volume that this container can contain remains the same. That's where the pressure is. Let's talk about why explosion happens. Why then do we have explosion? Most of the time, explosion happens around safe people or around safe environments. Not because those environments sometimes are not the right places, but because they're the safest. And the explosion looks different for different people. It looks different for different containers. Sometimes it can be just tears rolling without saying any word. that can be a sign of explosion. And by explosion, I'm talking about a meltdown. Sometimes explosion might look like shouting. Sometimes explosion might look like withdrawal, anger, or it might look like overwhelm. It's not about what have just happened now. It's about everything that has happened, even the entire day or the entire night or the entire week. It can be a build up from the past week or even the past couple of weeks, even to a month. It can be a build up. Then the bursting just happens one day. So sometimes you need to look beyond the day of the meltdown or the day of the bursting of the bottle. Why it is important for us to know how to react during these bursting moments, during the meltdown. I always say the first reaction should be to calm down. You as the caregiver or as the parent, what you need to do is to learn to take a deep breath and calm down. Because as long as you are in a panic mode, you are also sending the message, the energy that says, I also am not sure what to do. And you are making that individual, that child, more anxious, more worried, and you are making them feel very much unsafe because they are crying out for help to you. I explained in one of the videos where I was explaining about meltdowns, what is a meltdown, why they happen, and what triggers meltdowns. And today we're talking about your reaction. You need to understand that you have to have your act all together. One of the reasons why you need to calm down and be really stable, especially during a meltdown for your little one or for the individual that you are supporting, the major reason why you have to be calm is so that they feel safe. Because we discussed in that video where I spoke about meltdowns in detail. A meltdown is a cry for help. Now, if somebody's crying for help, you don't want to look like you are also clueless, you are hopeless. You make things worse. You make them more anxious. You make them actually feel more unsafe because they are crying for help to you and you are also in panic mode. That is why you need take a deep breath, calm down, and then offer reassurance to your loved one. That is how, when this bottle bursts, what do? We calm down. Allow it to open slowly. Make the environment safer. We're not going to stop it. We're not going to shout. We're not going to say, stop doing that. No, we're going to allow this container to burst. But we are going to allow that in the safest possible way. I always say during a meltdown, make sure the environment is safe for your child. Make sure you yourself, you are a safe landing space. Make sure they are not harming themselves, they are not harming others, or they are not damaging whatever is surrounding them. Allow them to burst. Allow them to release all the feces in here. Because that is the only way they can go back to their self-regulated mode. You don't say, no. The pressures that have been getting in here, no. They must stay in here. No, we don't stop our children on the autism spectrum. We don't stop them from melting down. We support them. So when the Coke bottle is bursting, we don't say, no, don't burst. We allow a safe bursting. If you are not sure of what to do, how to support an individual who is on the autism spectrum, be sure to go and check one of my previous videos where I spoke in details about autistic meltdowns. You will get some practical tips on what to do and what not to do during a meltdown. Thank you very much for watching. And if you resonate with anything that I've shared in this video, please do let me know in the comment section. I'll be looking forward to hearing from you. And till then, see you next time. You keep well and remember, you are the safe space for your child. Don't ever doubt yourself. You are the safest person to be around your child. Validate them. Give them the reassurance. All the best. Until next time. Bye.